how do you want to play the role of a big brother?
I don't intend playing the role of a big brother at all. Government is a facilitator, and government will spend in public investment-related programs. We very clearly said we will spend on investment for infrastructure. Infrastructure creation has both immediate, short-term and long-term benefits. In the budget itself, in the speech, I had mentioned that nearly 22,000 crores have already been allotted for the two infrastructure funding agencies that we are talking about. One was a subsidiary of the National Infrastructure Investment Fund, the other is the IAFCL. And if that money is given to them, they are going to be able to leverage from the market at least 6 to 7 times conservatively, or even 8 to 9 times if you're a bit more generous. So in a way, average, we met with more than 1 lakh crore, and that 1 lakh crore was announced by the Prime Minister in the Independence Day speech from the Red Fort, that it will be spread over 5 years. But even as that was said, as the year went by, we went ahead to say we are happy to front load it as much as is required. Okay. Having said that, having waited, we have actually worked with states, we have worked with private investors, private project promoters and so on, and come up with an infrastructure pipeline consisting of over 6,400 projects. So not only are we saying things, we are also showing the way in which we fund it. Not only are we saying about funding it, but we are also clearly saying where these funds will go. Various states, various sectors related projects and so on. So I think our commitment towards investment and spending from public spending in infrastructure is very clearly laid out.
ये बात हो रही थी कि जो इंश्योरेंस सेक्टर में एफडीआई है उसको लेकर काफी चर्चा थी कि उसे बढ़ाया जाएगा और ऐसी उम्मीद की बजट में इसका ऐलान होगा, तो उस पर क्या इंटेंट है, आगे बढ़ाने का है या नहीं है, या अगर अभी के लिए नहीं है तो क्या वजह है? दूसरा सवाल यह है कि डायरेक्ट टैक्स कोड को लेकर अगस्त में रिपोर्ट आ गई थी और उसके बाद अभी तक इस पर सरकार क्या करना चाहती है? तीसरा सवाल यह है कि जो विवाद के विश्वास की स्कीम है उसमें जो टर्म इस्तेमाल किया गया है वो विथड्रॉल इस्तेमाल किया गया है, डिस्पोज्ड ऑफ नहीं लिखा जाएगा, तो ऐसा नहीं है.
So please introduce yourself with your organization before we
Rajesh
from
business.
Yeah, Rajesh. Yeah.
विवाद से विश्वास, LIC and insurance. आपका 3 प्रश्न है.
Direct tax code, ma'am.
Direct taxation. I think on the direct tax code, commencing from the corporate tax simplification and rate reduction, and now very clearly coming up also with the income tax rate reduction, simplification, we have very clearly shown the government's intent. Intent of the government is to move towards a simplified taxation regime. And that is why we've also made it very plain that not only rate reduction but also removal of all kinds of exemptions. That was the approach taken in the corporate tax, and that's the approach taken even now. And then that the taxation regime should be on the ground, on the basis, on the foundation of trust with citizens. We have brought in the taxpayers' charter. The taxpayers' charter being brought into the statutes itself says how far we want to make the whole process simplified, no kind of pressure on the taxpayer, and eventually leading to a simplified and minimum possible level of taxation. So that's the route we are going on. Many of the recommendations of the committee which submitted the report are all things which we have worked on, and we are coming up with step after step in order to simplify. On the LIC, at the moment we are looking at an IPO, and the IPO will in a way bring in retail investors into the picture, and in a way also make issues more transparent for everybody to have a look at what is happening. And there is no disincentive for people to save by putting their money into LIC or any insurance. Many of these exemptions have been removed, so has this one has also got removed. And today I think this kind of directing savings or putting, or incentivizing people to have their savings go through only one route and not some other is no longer relevant or needed, because Indian taxpayer, even before and now all the more, is capable of making his judgment where he wants to put his money. He wants to have his insurance, he will have it. I don't need to direct it. But if my taxation rate itself has come down, he's got enough incentive to see where he wants to put his money. He has more money in his hand if the rate of taxation is less. He can decide to put it in insurance, or he can decide to save it in any other form, or even go into the share market or the bond market. So that is the larger principle with which we have handled these matters.
Yeah, we'll take a question from you. After that, please pass it to Nirmala. We'll come to everybody. Please.
I'm Mehul Tani from Banking Frontier. Ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. What is the way forward for UCBs and cooperative banking in the country with certain changes proposed in the budget?
Well, we only tried getting them from the cooperative sector, those who are using the word bank in their name, to be brought under the Banking Regulation Act to be monitored and regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. Which will mean that these cooperative sector institutions which are functioning with the bank in their name will have to now follow the same rules and regulations which govern any scheduled commercial bank, because they are taking deposit, they are issuing loans, and therefore, if they are also calling themselves a bank, which is all right, they can call themselves. But if they are being called a bank, and which makes depositors like you and me to go there and say, yes, I'm a member of the cooperative, I'm also dealing with them, it will only make them a lot more regulated by the Reserve Bank, so that the credibility of banking functions in India are kept intact. So that will be the way forward. They can continue doing what they are doing. Yeah, the Secretary is rightly reminding me, it doesn't affect the registrar of the state of cooperatives' power at all. Their power is remaining intact. But in as much as the function of bank that they want to perform with the name in their title, it attracts people to put money in them, which is right, which is nothing wrong. But if it is indeed attracting people to come and deposit money in them, they should also go through the prudential rules and regulations of the Banking Regulation Act. And that's what we've done. I think there's a bright future for them to continue with all the proper regulations in place.
Next question,
Ma'am, Lalit from the Council. You have been meeting people in the morning. What is the feedback they have given you? And is there any concern that you have raised? If you can please share.
I'm sure you will get a meeting there. And if I say what they have said to me, you will think I'm boasting. Matter of fact, it's very inspiring for me to do more, and the entire team to do more dedicated, intense work when you know that the efforts that you put in making this budget has really been taken for what it is. And the response has been, it's been a good budget, it's been a balanced budget, differently worded. In this time, this is the best budget we could have had, and things like that. I'm not getting carried away by it. But matter of fact, the expanse that has been covered in this budget is something which most people highlighted. The expanse, the particular attention given for rural India, agricultural India, and being specific about those 16 action points. Looking at deepening bond market has been received very well. We are sitting in Mumbai, which is the heart of all these stock markets and indices, understanding people. The efforts that we have made to make sure that in the indices look at India so that we get indexed for the bonds that we want to create. For the steps that we've taken, particularly in a very graded fashion for giving life for the MSMEs back, stressed MSMEs as different from NPAs, both have been given relief, and I'm very grateful and I'm happy. And if I may borrow the word used by one of the media houses in their editorial today, the Reserve Bank of India is marching lockstep with the government. Is the expression used? I am not using it. It's used by you, the media. So the way in which today the Reserve Bank has also come to be very clear on being supportive of the MSME is something which is the need of the hour, and I'm glad that the Reserve Bank of India has been dynamic enough to support this. That's not to say that they are not dynamic, but I'm only adding to the point that they've given a very, very exhaustive thinking about this and responded in a timely fashion. So MSME, which we had come up with it, and the Reserve Bank also has supported, not only just that, by extending the date to end of December 2020, but also giving that little sucker for tweaking the CRR for lending, liquidity tap that they've come up on a policy which will fix it at 5 point something, in which the banks now can be taking a loan from the Reserve Bank to lend it further. That is a major step. So, when these kind of actions, both from the government and from the Reserve Bank, are going towards it. So I said agriculture, I said rural development, I am now telling you about MSME, the way in which we've opened up for the bond market, and the ways in which income tax, we have given an alternative. All this, I get the feeling from the inputs that I have received. All these have been raised by one or the other who met us and said these were good steps that we've taken, timely and so on. So I'm sure you can double check and cross check this.
Second row, and thereafter we'll go to the last row. Please.
Ma'am, Sahil Joshi from India Today. My question is about the dividend tax.
Sorry, just a second. Yes, I go ahead.
Yes. So my question is about the dividend.
1 minute, if you don't mind, sir. I'll just add, I'm very grateful to the Secretary and he reminded me of this. There's just so much in the budget that it's easy to get but this is a very relevant point. And I do remember the last time I came to Mumbai at the peak of Punjab Maharashtra Cooperative Bank. It was heart-wrenching. We did go back and spent a lot of time making sure that we do the needful. And it was announced in the budget that we have increased the deposit insurance from 1 lakh to 5 lakhs. So that's one point which I have now that I'm in Mumbai. I have to say that. Thank you, Secretary, for reminding me. Yeah, sorry.
So, the question is about the dividend tax incidence on rate. It has nearly increased from 10% to 42%. So, is there any reconsideration about?
That's not the way to look at it. That's not the way to look at it. What was I told every time I had
It's about the wealth creation.
No, this is what I'm answering. I'm not rebutting, I'm answering. See, one of the things which I was told repeatedly is remove DDT. I've heard it a lot of times. So effortlessly we removed it. And what did we do? And keeping, this is the side where we have applied our mind a lot. thought about it a lot and only then taken this step. What is it that we've done on that? When we've removed it, we've said, at the hands of the shareholder, it shall be taxed at the applicable rate. Which meant, and which for us was the purpose to serve, was meant, it meant to us that when we leave it at the hands of the shareholder to be taxed at the applicable rate, there will be large sections, particularly of the middle class, will be taxed at the applicable rate, which will be necessarily less than 15-20% that otherwise the DDT was being taxed at when it was in the company's hands. So when middle class shareholders do get their shares in their hand and they have to pay their tax at their hand for the dividend that they receive, they're going to pay far lesser than what they were paying when it was in the company's hand. That way, the middle class shareholder will have more money in his hands now, so he can decide how to spend it. Now, the argument that you are coming at rightly, I'm not faulting it, is when the shareholder gets the dividend in his hand and he has to pay it at the applicable rate, if you look at those whose income tax is at a higher rate, they end up paying a higher tax for this dividend. Point taken. But I've told you as to what our intention was when we said it should be taxed on the hands of the shareholder at the applicable rate. That was the question.
Yeah, the last row there. Your question?
In a Vivad to Vishwas scheme, there are certain season pieces which are not covered in the scheme. And I do understand that the search season is conducted after certain information department test, so as to the reopening of the cases under section 148. So now what section 148 order is considered in the Vivad se Vishwas scheme, but not the search and seizure cases are covered in that scheme. And department gets information from SEBI or some other government departments also for the search and seizure and reopening of the cases. So considering that, shall that can be considered search and seizure cases from which information is received from SEBI or some other government department and the cases are going on in the appeal and mediated.
So you're suggesting that it should be included, or you're asking
it should be included?
All right, fine. Thank you.
Please pass the mic there. Yes, we are coming.
Ma'am, Rahul from ET Now. I just wanted to ask from you that the measures which are announced in this budget regarding real estate is actually a continuation of 2019 announcements. Now, developers are saying that those announcements didn't make much difference to the real estate sector. So, how do you think that this continuation of all these exemptions and all will give a real boost in 2020? And the second question is, you have said that insurance on deposit is increased from 1 lakh to 5 lakh. So will this be applied to PMC depositors as well?
Right. Real estate, we announced it before budget about creating a fund which will help in completion of those stalled projects. If I remember correct, not till early January, Secretary can correct me on that, not till early January, we started releasing funds for the escrow accounts of those projects which have gone through the due compliance. So that started rolling out. So I take your point that around October, September, there was this feeling that nothing is moving. But everything took its time because all this involved a lot more tying up of regulatory compliances even for government. At the end of the story, from January we started not just for Mumbai but for projects which are stalled all over the country. And I'm glad yesterday the Reserve Bank's announcement also has a specific mention of home buyers, real estate, along with our budgetary announcement of extending the tax holiday for them, for all the promoters, even as they try to sell their project. So real estate's relief that the government and the Reserve Bank have given have been both in the budget and in the pre-budget, as you say, and now also from the Reserve Bank. So if you actually collate all this and see what has been happening for the real estate industry, there's quite a few things. Let's see how it works out, because these many different things will have to, come together to benefit the sector.
One second question,
Well, the bill and the announcement of the budget is lying in the Parliament. I cannot say anything. Let it get passed, then you get to know.
My name is Amol Dekhe. I work with ETBFSI. Many questions have already been answered, but my question is specifically to banks. Though we are absolutely aware about the demand and consumption, which is very low, but there was one more factor which bankers were mostly talking about, and that was trust deficit. They were not lending despite of having huge capital with them because of trust deficit. How did you address that specifically in the budget? If you could explain that. I do understand the loan melas and everything that you considered and set it up before the budget. But in this budget, what is specifically that you've done to kill that trust deficit? And second is, since you have already come with an IPO for LIC, what is about the other three PSU general insurance companies, National, Oriental and United? Is it on the radar of the merger or the IPO?
No, first of all, on the trust deficit. I thought that was something which we were addressing with the industry. With the banks, there was never a trust deficit. With the banks, there was a hesitation for taking decision for fear that what if their decisions are seen as, subject to vigilance. So there was never a trust deficit with the banks. And not waiting for the budget. Secretary has spent a lot of time with the bank managements, with officials, and at one point in time I had joined them also to call all the banks and have them speak even before the CBI director to say what were their concerns and the way in which the CBI director and two joint directors who joined us in the presence of Reserve Bank also at that meeting. Very many things were clarified. So, the hesitation which was in the minds of the bankers about should we really go forward, what if the loan turns out to be bad, that we extend to the customer, and if it turns out to be bad, will I be pulled up? Those concerns were the ones which we had to address, and I'm glad to say the Secretary spent a lot of time, and there was never a trust deficit.
Next question, Alexandra.
Thank you, Madam Finance Minister, for the opportunity. Alexandra Ulmer from Reuters. We recently reported...
Which news?
Reuters.
Thomson Reuters.
Thomson Reuters, yes. We recently reported that the government is likely to issue some $5 billion in bonds next year. I was wondering if you could give us some confirmation on the amount you're looking to raise, the timeline, and also which global indices you might list them on. Many thanks.
No, I don't think we've stated any amounts. We've not stated any amounts at all in the budget about what will be raised.
Right, our sense is separate. Are you looking for a separate issue of some $5 billion?
No, I have not said any number at all on the issue.
Thank you.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm Ritu Singh from CNBC-TV18. Two questions. One on the new personal income tax regime that you've announced, and we've understood from your comments later that you're looking to slowly phase out the deductions and exemptions that are granted. So one, what is the timeline for this, and in what kind of a phased manner are you looking to do away with them? The second question is, taking forward that trust deficit issue of banks, you've hired for deposit insurance cover. There's section 227 under IBC to deal with NPSCs. But what about private banks? Is there anything on the FRDI bill, for instance? Your thoughts on that?
Trust deficit with banks. I've never heard this before. I heard it first from the gentleman, now I'm hearing it from you. It was more a question of trust deficit related issues for the industry. We've never had that issue with the banks, and we've never heard it from you when I was here last time. Alright, so anyways, I'll answer the question about the banks as regards any hesitation that they may have had in issuing, let us say, loans, and that has been explained to them several times. And in order to bring in capacity within banks for assessing risks, we had very clearly said, even during the time of amalgamation of those 10 banks and banks into 4, that from open market, they can each now, at a very high level, bring in risk assessing officers. So with that, the decisions that they are going to take will be given that knowledge, domain knowledge, into risk factoring and then taking a call. So that's been addressed. That's right. It was once introduced and withdrawn for some reasons. We have started working on it again. So as to, again, I don't know when I'll introduce it, but we are working on it. And then as regards the timeline that you asked, did you ask about that? Well, on the income tax, I've started giving an alternative, which is, you're right in saying, completely bereft of exemptions, except that the new one also has a few exemptions. Eventually, we want to have an income tax framework for India, which will be simple, the rates come down to the minimum, and easy to comply with. So if we are going in that framework, I've put the first step forward by saying, I'm not forcing anybody, I've given an alternative, and we shall watch this year as to how many of them are going to find it comfortable to move here, through the year, understand it, and based on that we want to take a call next year to see how best we can move further forward on it. So there's immediately nothing on me or nothing on the taxpayer to say within the next so many years.
Next question from you, and thereafter you can pass it on here. Please.
Good evening, I'm Tanya Thomas from Mint. I have a couple of questions. The first is on infrastructure, your allocations to infrastructure for the next year. You've spoken in answer to previous question on encouraging NIM and sovereign wealth management to invest in infrastructure in India. But we've seen the pattern of their investments is mostly in operating assets, which are already revenue generating assets. But where we need investments, when we stick to industries or greenfield projects, and your allocation to transport infrastructure, for instance, year-on-year has fallen. NHAI, you've said in the past that you wanted to go out in the market and raise funds, but NHAI's debt is quite high. A lot of analysts are questioning how much more debt NHAI can take on to sustain the roadmap for building more infrastructure. So, can you give a reason for why you reduced allocations and where you think this gap will be filled? And the second is on...
1 minute. Okay. Even as you start looking at NHAI and say, what can you tell me a reason why you have reduced it, would you also equally recognize the fact 103 lakhs crore worth of projects for infrastructure have been announced? I've also very clearly said about the lengths of road, 2,000 kilometers on this, 3,000 kilometers on that, roads. And being in Maharashtra, specifically the pocket which is going to be developed is also named. Alright. So, infrastructure. And also, you were right in reminding, which I didn't use it for answering you from Hindu, I think? On the infrastructure, that we've given special fiscal concessions for sovereign funds which have showed an interest to come and invest in infrastructure. And the particular lock-in condition saying you have to invest it by 2024, am I right? For infrastructure creation. So, that one reduction, because we've told NHAI they can also raise funds, does not in any way undermine these announcements, which are all towards building better, bigger, longer, long-term.
I agree, ma'am. The private investment in greenfield project is falling. We don't see
now
people bidding for to build new airports.
We've kept that in mind when we've announced what we've announced in the budget. We've kept that in mind.
Okay. And the second thing, ma'am, is on bank recapitalization. You haven't spoken about it addressing in this budget. So can we take it to mean that you believe banking system is out of the woods now and they're stable again?
Well, I've said what I have to say in the budget. If you are asking me, can I take it to mean, I can't dictate to media, can I?
So what do you think?
I've not finished my answer. I've not finished my answer. You seem to be very quick.
He keeps pointing to
Yes. Don't worry, but he's not going to rush you before I finish my answer. So I won't keep looking at him, so you get an advantage. So I can't obviously tell you what you have to infer from my budget speech. If you really have to infer, then I'll ask you, have I said I shall not recapitalize the banks? I haven't. So inference is also got to be derived from that kind of looking both sides.
Okay. And lastly, ma'am, on the PM Garib Kalyan Yojana, your experience there has been quite lukewarm after demonetization.
PM?
The Garib Kalyan Yojana, you've got 50,000 crores so far collected. That was introduced after demonetization.
Very.
Yeah. So given that track record, what is the kind of response you expect to Vivad Se Vishwas Yojana? And why do you think your experience would be better now?
No, see, the point is, Vivad Se Vishwas is in a way inspired by the Sabka Vishwas, which we had brought in for the indirect tax. And there, you found that majority of disputes have come on board and said, right, we're settling. Some of the high value disputes have chosen to go through the process of the courts. So the number of people who have had respite given or relief given because of the, that particular scheme is very large, which means relief has reached a lot of people. All right, the high value disputes may continue. So we thought, in a situation where more than 480,000 cases are hanging fire for a very long time, all right, nearing 8 lakh crores in value, we thought we have to give relief to a lot of people. Going by that experience of Sabka Vishwas, direct tax also should benefit, and therefore we've come up with this. It hasn't had any motivation, inspiration, or disincentive derived from Garib Kalyan. So that's the.
Can we take the last question from here?
Good evening. This is Shreya Sitharaman from Construction World magazine. My question is regarding the national infrastructure pipeline. So often we've seen in the construction sector two challenges that the industry faces is availability of land and fund crunch. So how are we ensuring the financial viability of this entire pipeline, and is there a monitoring process that is being put in place, and in what order? Also, what is going to be done to attract, what's your expectation from private sector in terms of investments, and how are we making this pipeline attractive to attract private investors?
Well, the pipeline, how are we making it attractive is by bringing in a lot of sovereign funds which we want to have, taken interest in. They've expressed interest, and therefore we extended also the benefits. Then through the NIF and also the IIFCL, we expect to raise funds in the market, for which the government has already chipped in the amount. So we are not talking from thin air, but honestly moving with concrete steps. And many of the projects which are listed as part of the 6,400 odd are also private sector projects, state government projects, central government projects, and so on, and PPP type projects. So I think lots of work has gone into it, and therefore there shouldn't be a sudden, surprise. Some of the projects may not arrive, although we've listed. Some other newer ones may join in. So that's fine. We've kept it open-ended to that extent. And even as we are talking, many other state governments are now adding on to that list. And as regards how do you expect the private sector to participate? Even as this list of 6,400 was made, a lot of input from the private sector has come in. We've also formed Secretary has gone into details of it, a committee which will be looking at speeding up this list of 6,000.
Level that's all.
Please appreciate the fact that ma'am has a flight to catch to Chennai. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, ma'am. And thanks, my dear friends from media. Thank you very much for participating in this press conference. Thank you very much. Yeah.